What is going on? It's Lead Mode Show, episode number 5. Your boy, Christian Cotta. I think I got to freestyle a little bit. Here's a little story I'd like to tell about 3 bad marketers you know so well. Started way back in history when we all knew that we needed to tell about. To bring you guys a phenomenal show today with my partners, Dallin Greenberg, Corey Smith. It's the Lead Mode Show. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Christian Cotta, with the Lead Mode Show. If you're here for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. My name's Christian Cotta. I got my partners, Dallin Greenberg and Corey Smith, and we're bringing you episode number 5. We are the Lead Solution Team, your online marketing experts, helping you figure out the right combination to unlock the profits in your business online. Today, we're talking about not the most overlooked thing that you can do to control your identity and to control your online activities. But we're talking about the second most overlooked thing. And you might be asking yourself, why not the first? Because most of us know what the first is. And not so many of us really understand or know what the second is. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk to you guys. And I want to ask you guys a couple of quick questions. So before we dive into this, if you haven't already, if you've been here before, do me a favor and share this out, because really our goal of bringing you guys this show each and every week is to reach more people and help more of you, like I said, start to unlock the profits in your business. It can get tricky. It can be, somewhat frustrating at times, often a lot of times. And so we want to help you guys figure out how to generate more leads and sales. So first of all, I'd like to bring in my partner, Dallin. I'm going to do my little share here, and I'll let Dallin kind of, help me guide you guys along. So we're going to talk today first. What's up, Dallin? And we want to kind of gauge, right, Dallin? We want to gauge with everybody that's watching, whether they're live or replay, and figure out one question. What's that question?
We want to know if your website's working for you.
Is your website working? Number one, do you need a website or do you not need a website? To be or not to be? That is the question, right? And so, Dallin, let's talk about this, what we said, the number one most overlooked thing, which most people know. Why don't you share with us your take on that?
The number one overlooked thing, I think, is your business grabbing attention? Is it hitting all the main elements that it needs to be hitting? Right? So we have 5 elements that we think every website should be hitting, no matter what. Right? A lot of people like to, for example, just have a website that just has their whole portfolio on it, right? Is it engaging? Is it getting people to take an action, right? Is it overcoming objections that people have? These are things that we're going to talk about this show. that's really going to solve, I think, a lot of issues for people with all sorts of different types of websites, specifically people who work for a company and maybe that company provides a website for you or provides a landing page for you. And I think that's where a lot of people are seeing struggles because they're trying to jump into this world of maybe paid traffic or organically posting all over on social media, links or their URL to whatever groups or whatever. And I think they're getting frustrated because there's not a lot of conversions or maybe not a lot of action is taking place. So
this question then of, do you need a website or do you not need a website? Why is that important? And this number one most overlooked thing that 99% of us probably understand already is that if we don't have a website, right, we don't have an online identity. So unless we want to be selling in the Stone Ages, if we want to be, doing things the way of the dinosaurs, which is how I got into this, commercial real estate was probably the most archaic way of selling. We still had fax machines like 3 years ago that people would send offers and stuff to. And so not having a website and not having an online identity is probably the worst thing that you can do. But the big but here, and I want to bring Corey in for this, is what is worse than not having an online presence or an online identity? Because I know Corey talks about this all the time. So Corey, can you give me your take and share with our viewers what's worse than not having an identity?
Having the wrong one, I would say. I mean, ultimately, a lot of people go into either like network marketing, real estate companies, and their ultimate goal is to kind of work for themselves, right? Be the entrepreneur, work for themselves, but they end up having the company that they work for's website. And what happens is you're not able to collect data on that. You're not able to collect any kind of or control any process, which could be detrimental to your business because you have no control over it. I think that's a big problem that I think is with a lot of companies out there is they provide that website. And I think a lot of people don't realize or know the long-term effects that has by putting your energy, putting your efforts into a website that you don't own. That could be huge for a lot of companies that I think personally don't realize that. And I think that's where they fall.
So let's talk about this then. Let's say I go out and I get a website, okay, but it's not the right kind of website. And you mentioned network marketers, real estate agents, probably fitness professionals fall into here, where the thought is that we need a website, right? The thought's that let's get a website and at least we have something out there where we can send people to and we're quote unquote online. But there's some issues with websites, right? And what's the number one issue with websites?
Well, I would say, I mean, the number one issue is they don't have a pixel on it, in my opinion. I'm an advertiser, I'm a marketer, so I think not having a pixel on there is a huge mistake because you can't control the advertising flow.
We're gonna talk about that later, but even before that, like way before that, right? If I send traffic to a website, what am I relying on the website to do? Because I'm not there, I'm not able to talk to people. It's different than if they were coming into my store. It's different than if I have them walk into, call up my office and say, hey, I want to sell my home. It's different than if I go meet with them at Starbucks and can give them all the information and everything, right? So what's the biggest problem that we see with websites is that they don't sell, right? They just don't work. So we bring all these, spend all this money, spend all this time. We work with developers, we work with coders, we work with graphic artists, and now we've built up this big budget to get a website and it just doesn't work. Or on the flip side, we have a website that isn't even really ours. And so we're going to dive deeper into that here in a second. But what I want right now is just, if you don't have a website, I want you to think about this. Do you need a website? And if you do have a website, do you have the right kind of website? Because coming back to this question, do you need one or not need one? That's the $1 million question. And so we have to make sure that we're covering 5 key things on our website. We have to make sure that we're able to handle and cover 5 objections or things that keep people from taking action online. And those 5 things are very important. So if you've got a pencil right now, if you're watching this and you're taking some notes, write these things down, okay? Because these are important. So we've got what we call the 5 main objections of taking action. And these 5 things work in on the phone sales, they work in off the phone sales, but you need to make sure that your site, your content, everything is covering these 5 things. And this is why websites as we know it, which are changing from selling to more content and authority, can't sell your products because they don't address these 5 things, which are no need. There's somebody doesn't know if they need your product or they don't feel that they need it. Number 2 is there's no urgency, not creating any sort of urgency to get them to purchase your product, your service, set up a phone call. The 3rd thing falls into no money. So we're telling them how much it is, but we're not addressing any of that with them. The 4th would be there's just no desire. Okay, they see the site and it doesn't really do it for them. And the 5th, and this is one of the big ones, is there's no trust. Okay, they don't know who we are. They don't have any idea why they need to know us. And so with those, what's this correct answer? Do I need a website or not? It's a trick question, really, right, guys? Because it comes down to yes and no. You need a website, but you need the right kind of website. And if you've been here on our show, if you've listened to Corey and Dallin and I talk for any period of time, then you guys know that websites are changing, and the type of website is what we call a funnel. So do you guys have anything that you want to add to this overall thing, this question? I see we've got my buddy Bear's on here, Doc Ikena Finch, our social media director's on here. My mom, thank you, Mom, for being here. Listen, guys, if you're just in here, if you guys have questions, please do us a favor and type those in the comment section below. Just right here on the phone, just type them in the comments. We'll be able to answer them. If you haven't already, do us a favor. Click the little button and share this out. We'd really appreciate you guys helping us get in front of more people. But back to you, Dallin and Corey. What do you guys think about this question? Do I need a website or not?
Getting a little bit more, I guess you can say, deeper into the question. When we think of website, we think of a place that someone goes to online. And really what it's coming down to these days is there's so many more elements to a website, right? We hear things like, okay, if you have a website, you need to know, to make it unique, you need to know maybe some code. Maybe you need to know how to input elements for your SEO work. Maybe you need to know, all these different things, right? There's lots of elements on the back end of websites that make them a little bit more successful. So Corey kind of hit it, and I think we're going to talk a little bit more about the importance of those pixels that he was touching on. But really, I think the big part here, this is really what we want to get across, is you need to stop thinking that a website, just because you have it, it's gonna brand you if it's owned by someone else, right? So, for example, I think one of the largest issues right now in the selling space, marketing space, a lot of these companies, one of the things that they grab you, they bring you in and say, listen, you come work for us, we're going to give you a website, we're going to give you a landing page, which is really cool. It sounds really cool, and it's necessary, right? Because if you're putting posts all over the place, you want to drive someone there, you want to send them there, right? But here's really the big problem. This is kind of what I wanted to touch on most. Let's say, for example, you are a real estate agent, okay? And you work for, Christian, you're the real estate guy. Give me a real estate firm or broker.
When I think of real estate here in the Valley, at least, I think of like Keller Williams, Remax, Century 21. Here locally, Long Realty. There's a number of them, and
let's just go with Keller Williams. Okay, so typically, if you were to come on as an agent for Keller Williams is going to say, hey, we have this really elaborate website that has access to the whole MLS. People can look up houses and all this stuff. And it's really cool. But really what it is it's kind of like a subdomain. It's kellerwilliams.com /
Dallin Greenberg / premier team.
Exactly. And so there's no
what's wrong with that?
There's no like exclusivity about it. Or actually what it is it's almost like a freebie for traffic. They can come in and it's almost like, thanks, but I have no loyalty to you. I'm going to use your website and the info and the content on it and go look for my own, maybe through a family friend or something. They have no reason to want to work with you. One more example real quick. Let's say you're with a network marketing company. It's a really popular thing right now, especially for maybe a lot of stay-at-home moms. They're working for a lot of direct sales companies, right? So let's take a big one like Isogenics or It Works, right? You sign up with these guys and you have a back office and you're running your business from home. And one of the things that you do is you get your website, and your website is itworks.com / Sarah, right? And it's got your picture on it. But guess what? There's 5,000 websites that look just like that. So if any traffic that you take to that, there's a high chance that the traffic you're sending that to has probably seen that before, right? And so what we're talking about here is you need to find a way to make it so people have a reason to want to get something from you if you're taking them to their site. There's no authority. There's no reason for someone to want to like you. So going back to those 5 elements that Christian was talking about, there's no urgency. There's no trust. They need to be able to have a trust with you. But I think the biggest thing is there's no narrowed down idea or big
desire.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, I like to use examples because I think this is going to correlate a lot with a lot of the people that have been watching our shows. If you are working for, let's say, a real estate company, instead of driving traffic like every 8 million real estate agents out there to your website and all the houses that are for sale and available in your area, you have to find a way to make it so it's more unique. Maybe pick out renters. Maybe you're going to have your own landing page of why you are the expert with taking someone from renting to owning. And that's your unique way to capture the leads. Then you can send them to your authority site once you have that relationship with them. They have a reason, because of this unique mechanism that you've built on your site, for them to be like, oh, I'm in that boat. I need to work with this guy because he's not like all the other real estate agents. He only focuses or specializes in this element. Same thing, taking that direct sales or network marketing website. Let's say, for example, you are one of the stay-at-home moms or people that are working from home. Well, instead of just blasting this out to all the other people that need this supplement or need this skincare cream, instead maybe niche it down a little bit. Talk about why all the ladies who just had a baby need this specific product, or right?
So let's take what you're talking about, because these are all great examples, and we've got a nice audience here today. And before we go even deeper into this, let's peel it back. So the first thing I want to do, there's a good group of people on here. I want to thank you guys for being here. If you've got a website, do this. If you've got a website, put a 1 in the comments below so that we know that you're on the path, you've got your online presence, you're building your identity. And if you don't have a website, put a 2, just to let us know, because we want to figure out who here, we want to make sure that this is making sense to you guys, that we're talking to you guys, and this is something that makes a lot of sense and can help you guys start to create this identity. Because if you remember, and this might date me, Dallin, you tell me if this dates me, but there's that song "Losing My Religion" by REM, right? And so this is kind of like, this is like that song, right? We know we're online, and if you're going to take the time every single day to go and sit down and come up with stuff to post on your Facebook page or post on YouTube and Twitter, and you're going to put a link in there, don't you want to know that that time that you're putting in now is going to pay dividends long term, right? Isn't that the whole concept? And so let me just look in here because we got a lot of people. So Dallin, yeah, I know you got a website, buddy. Joyce. So Joyce has a website. Awesome, Joyce. Randy. Okay, Randy, we had a chance to meet you on Wednesday. I'm glad you're here, my friend. We're going to help you take care of that. And then Barrett. Bear just lifts a lot of weights. So he's the fitness guy we're talking to. If you've ever seen this guy, he squats a beetle on his back while eating a cheeseburger. And then, of course, David Pereira, my friend. Good to see you here. So thank you guys for putting that in there. So if you do have a website, awesome. That doesn't mean that your website is the wrong kind. Okay. And if you don't, great. This is a new opportunity to figure out how to switch things to the changing times. And so what Dallin's talking about with this concept of being able to narrow things in, being able to control who you're talking to, making sure that you're talking to them in the right way. We've all probably heard of the term landing page. Okay. And if you've been on any of our previous shows or watched any of the replays, we talk about this concept of a funnel. So why is it that websites aren't working? And let me bring Corey in here and let's talk to him about the concept of the old school website and the new school ways. The new school being the funnel and this idea of the landing page. So Dallin mentioned, Corey, all these ways that we could segment, and we talk about control. The second most overlooked thing for controlling your activities that can get you in trouble. And why is it getting you in trouble if you don't control the landing page or the website, like we're talking about, these subdomains? Can you share with me, some of your insight on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's several issues with not having control. I mean, for one, you don't control the customer journey, right? So, I mean, that is huge for your branding, huge for businesses. If you have no control from the start to the finish, you own a stream of income, not a business at that point. And I think ultimately a lot of people get that confused, especially with like Amazon fulfillment, or fulfillment by Amazon. A lot of people think they own a business at that point, and really it's a stream of income because Amazon can make some changes. Something could happen. Your business could be done overnight. And I think what I personally like as well, what I think is really huge, like I mentioned earlier, is there's a pixel that Facebook has and that you can put on your website, which allows you to actually track anybody that comes to your website, or segment, I guess would be a better word. So imagine if you owned like a brick and mortar company or a business, right? And every single person that walked into your door, imagine if you were able to tag them with a certain category, like this person likes sports, this person likes makeup. And anytime in the future, you could craft a certain message to them, you would love to do that, right? That would be the most amazing thing. Well, you can. And that's the beautiful thing about having control of your website. I think that would be my biggest takeaway, is just having control throughout the entire process from start to fulfillment. And
I know for everyone that's on here right now, in a few minutes here towards the end of the show, Corey's going to dig into this concept of the pixel. So when we talk about the second most overlooked thing that you can do to control your online activities, why is that important? And the reason why it's important, well, actually, I forget, this is a live show. Let me ask you guys, why is it important, everything that you've heard us talk about, why is it important for you to be able to control your online activities instead of spending your social media and spending time building it up for someone else? I want to see what some of your thoughts are. And David says he's got to bounce. David, I appreciate you being here. We'll connect. We actually need to bring David and his partner Todd here on the show. Paul says, I'm refreshing my site now, so I'm hoping I can get it looking better. And Paul, that's great. We're big on design. I know a lot of people talk about how design isn't all that important. It's how it functions and how it converts. And yes, that's true to some degree, but we believe that the design plays a role in how it converts. And so I'm glad to hear that. But with that in mind, what we're talking about here, the two things in tandem come down to this new generation and this new evolution of the website, which is having a landing page and ultimately having a funnel. And for those of you guys that aren't familiar with funnels, it's really, think of it this way. It's taking your website right now that has tons and tons of pages. If you think of like a catalog, I like to use J. Crew. It's the holidays. Black Friday's right around the corner. You're going to get a bunch of catalogs in the mail, and you're going to skim through them. And at the end of looking through every page, you probably won't remember a single thing that you looked at except for the very last thing. When you keep that in mind, that's how a website works. We're given all of this information at once, and we don't really retain any of it. And so the benefit to what we call funnels and using these landing pages is that two things. Number one is Dallin talked about this. You can speak specifically to an audience that you want. So you can start to have multiple conversations that are very detailed, that make sense to people instead of speaking in broad generalities. So we're here right now. I can speak to a real estate agent. Let me see if Randy's still on here. We can speak directly to Randy and say, look, Randy, the importance of having a funnel versus a website for your real estate business is that you can have one funnel for buyers and one funnel for sellers. And you can talk specifically to buyers and specifically to sellers. That makes the conversation much easier, and it makes it you control the information instead of the company that you work for, the network marketing company that you're sending traffic to, the gym that you're a personal trainer working out of, however that setup is for you. And so when you control those things, it gives you a lot more longevity. I know Corey worked in residential real estate, flipping houses, doing wholesaling. Dallin sold alarms. He sold home automation systems. And there's a lot of turnover, right? We start working at one company. After a little bit of time, we switch. And if we didn't have our email list, or we didn't have, control over everything we did for the last year to 5 years, and we moved, what are we doing now, guys? Starting from scratch, right? And so that's the importance of thinking about how you're laying out your website in this funnel sequence and what the funnel can do. Now, the second aspect of that, and this is where Corey can go to town, and Dallin gets his gears working, and he starts thinking when Corey speaks about pixels and this concept of retargeting, which we're going to dive into here in a second. Dallin's like a hamster on a wheel, chasing after ideas, and Corey's just putting them in place. So I want to let Corey and Dallin start talking about this pixel.
Yeah, and this is sorry, go for it, Corey. You can start.
Yeah, we'll have Corey start here.
Yeah, I think with pixels, it allows you to control the process of after someone hits your website, you can control the process of what they see after they initially hit your website. So essentially what it does is it allows you to take cold traffic and turn them into warm traffic. And that could be over a 1-day span, a 7-day span. You could choose that. And that's really the kind of the golden key or the golden ticket to Facebook is unlocking those audiences within the back of Facebook.
And so here's the thing, Corey. It really, I brought up the REM metaphor earlier, or the, reference to REM, losing my religion. But on the pixel side, it reminds me of that song, I always feel like somebody's watching me, right? that old school song. And who was it? I think it was our friend Charlie at the I Love Marketing meeting on Wednesday when we were presenting, who said she always wondered how she could go to Nordstrom's website and look at a pair of shoes, and then those shoes are following her like everywhere, right? And so, talk to us about this idea of how that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it is that pixel that I've been talking about. Once you have that installed onto your website, that allows Facebook to collect data, or essentially collect that someone reached your website, and from there, anytime you basically can go into Facebook's back end, you can create those audiences that I was just speaking about, and that'll allow you to tap into the different audiences that hit your website, segment them depending on what pages they hit, where they hit on your website. So especially when it comes to funnels, it allows you to take someone that fell off your funnel and drive them right back to the same page that they fell out on.
And so what is a pixel though?
So a pixel is really just a small little piece of code that you take that Facebook will provide for you. And what it'll do is once you put it on your website, from there, it kind of communicates together and allows you to unlock the data of people that are on Facebook that are hitting your website.
And this idea of the pixel, I mean, people might have heard about it. I'm sure that if you've been doing any kind of marketing, you're probably familiar with what's called the Facebook pixel. But all of the platforms have pixels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so,
yeah, I guess ultimately, yeah, it's a piece of code that, you can grab from a number of different websites. So a lot of the social medias like Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook offer this pixel. And essentially you can grab that code from any of these sources, whatever source that you feel like you want to advertise on. It may not even be that you want to advertise right now, but I highly recommend for the future, even if you have this thought, you want to grow your business later on and start doing paid advertising, you could go ahead and actually get prepared for the future. And that's what allows you to do. And one thing I think that we could probably prepare for you is show you a quick little overview of what the pixel looks like. There's nobody better that explains it than Facebook themselves, in my opinion. So can we throw a video on of the pixel?
Yeah, Rob, we're going to, real quick, guys. Okay, so we're going to show you a quick video of what the pixel is and how to install it. And our production manager, Rob, who's the bomb, I want to throw a plug in for them at Enlightened Audio. He's going to handle that.
The Facebook pixel is a piece of JavaScript code for your website that lets you measure and optimize, as well as build audiences for your ad campaigns. In this video, we'll help you install the Facebook pixel on your website, so you can start getting the most out of your Facebook ads. If this is your first time creating a Facebook pixel, open your Ads Manager, click Tools, then click Pixels. Click Create a Pixel. Give your Facebook pixel a name. Check the box to accept the Facebook pixel terms, then click Create Pixel. If you have access to your website's code, click Install Pixel Now, and then copy everything in that box. This is called the base code, which you should place in the header section of every page of your website. If someone else works on your website, email the Facebook pixel code to them to install. Next, check that the Facebook pixel is working by navigating to a page on your website. Use the Facebook pixel helper to see if it's loading correctly. And that's it. Your Facebook pixel base code is now set, and you're ready to add standard events or custom conversions to specific pages of your website. Learn more at facebook.com/help/pixel.
And so that's the pixel in a nutshell, right? But what I want is, Corey's our traffic master. He's kind of our traffic engineer. He runs the traffic train. And so the pixel this little tiny piece of code can wreak so much havoc for people, create so much frustration. Just like the landing page, right? And there's so much stuff involved. And so you mentioned that one thing, Corey, that even if you don't have any interest in running paid traffic right now, it's important to know this and kind of have it in place for the future, right? Oh, and I got Dallin on here. So, Dallin.
I'm not Corey.
Yeah. So, Dallin, why don't you talk to us about this? Why it's important? Why it's important to have this for the future, and then I want you and Corey to be able to talk about what people can do now to plan for the future and plan for when they're ready to start running ads?
Yeah. So from a sales and business owner perspective, pixels to me personally are like the greatest thing that's happened since email. And I'll tell you why. Because I know statistically that if I can get in front of someone, my chances are way, way higher of either closing a deal or creating that relationship or whatever my objective is, right? So with this idea and concept of pixels meets funnels or a well-put website, what happens is I can allow this pixel to mature or blossom, if you will. So for someone who's never heard of pixel, never heard of, like, this is blowing their mind, think of it this way. Think of it like the second someone comes onto my website, I can stamp you. I can sprinkle this pixel on you, okay? And that pixel basically will follow you, kind of like a cookie, right? We hear about cookies in our browsers, except what this does instead is this is storing data, okay? So what Facebook is doing is now, anytime there's engagement, if I put an ad and someone likes that ad, I can run all these different types of audiences. If someone likes my page, if they saw a video, what's happening now is I want that pixel to help me get them into my sequence, right? My copy, my ads, that's going to help me get people into my sequence. But now I want that pixel to see how far into these sequences or these websites or funnels we create. I want that pixel to stay with them. So what that does is it tells Facebook, which tells me how I need to target them next. So that way it becomes way more relevant for the viewer, and they're not always seeing something that you came out with 3 months ago when they first saw you. Now they're starting to see the stuff that you're gradually coming out with. So that's how I like to think of it from a business owner standpoint. And that's why Corey and I, if you want to jump Corey on here, this is why me and Corey, if you put us in a room together and we're talking strategy and pixels, we can go forever. Like, it is literally the coolest. To me, it's a game. It's like a puzzle. It's like, okay, Corey, I'll call him all the time. So I'll call him at like 1 a.m. like, Corey, I got this crazy idea. What if we did this? We had this video or this webinar. How can we, on the pixel side or through Facebook and these audiences, make it so to our viewers, we're always fresh, right, Corey? So go a little bit more into that and explain how, like, you and I bounce off of each other from different angles.
Yeah, he's not messing around about that 1 o'clock phone call either. He'll call me any time of the night. It doesn't matter. But when an idea goes off in Dallin's head, it's a phone call right after it. But I mean, yeah, we talk about this all the time. I think, I mean, with having a pixel and having, like, now that you kind of understand it, I mean, I want to kind of back up a little bit. I mean, now that they kind of understand the power, a quick little reference so you guys could, if you want to get installed, you're not very techie, go to upwork.com. And they have freelancers that can put it on for you. But anyways, I mean, I think with the strategies, the cool thing with the pixel is you could literally think of an idea of how you want to market to these people and literally do it with Facebook. And that's why I talk about Facebook so much. And I just love this stuff.
Yeah, well, I want to actually jump into a couple comments here. Jenny had a good question. Jennifer Quinn, who's on here, she said, what about WordPress pixel plugins? Is it good or is it bad?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good that you're getting the pixel on. It's just depending on the developer. With WordPress, the problem is that you don't know who developed it, for one. Two, they could add loaded code that you may not necessarily need. But if you find a source that's trustworthy, highly recommend it. I don't think it's an issue. The problem is that you're going to want to kind of understand the basics of how to set it up or have someone set it up, because once you start doing funnels, your WordPress, there's a lot of moving parts, but you want that pixel to all talk to each other and feed each other.
So let's go to her second question. Jenny also wants to know, if someone clears their history on their browser or their cookies, is that getting rid of the pixel?
No, it's based off of Facebook collects that data.
Exactly. So I hope that helps out, Jenny. And this is why we love it so much, is because if we have so many people living in their Facebook feed, again, going back to the way my brain works, what I want happen to my audience, I know for a fact that my audience lives in their Facebook feed probably I'd say 50 to 60% more of their time than in their email, right? No one just sits in their email and looks at stuff. Yep. Right? You get your email, you read it once, and it's like, okay, they're categorizing it and this and that, right? But if I know that maybe my potential client or audience is laying in bed and they're looking through their Facebook feed, I have a higher chance of them seeing me more often because of that pixel. And then I can tell Facebook what to do with that pixel. The more they see me, now Facebook becomes smarter. It allows them to mature your audience, making you look a heck of a lot better.
Yeah.
So let's dive in here to the last thing about the pixel, and then I want to do a recap of these two things that in tandem and why it's important to really start planning what your marketing strategy, your campaign strategy online is. And so, Corey, we want to talk about the best way to get started. We want to talk about the best way to get started in regards to, getting the pixel up. I know you guys talked about it a little bit, you and Dallin. But what can someone do that's quick and easy to at least have, let's say they don't have a funnel right now, but they have a website and they are interested in this concept of starting to create funnels off their website or just building independent funnels to send their prospects and their customers to. What can someone do inside the Power Editor that's going to help them long-term in the future save money on Facebook ads? Because this is a big problem for a lot of small business owners, a lot of people that are trying to market on Facebook that have never done it before, is kind of getting in there and just really throwing money away. We joke about it all the time with our clients that, hey, if you want to go spend $600 on the ads, just write us a check. Like, it's almost the same thing, right? If you don't really understand what you're doing, it can really be a waste of money, and no one can afford to waste money. So what's the easiest way to get started?
So I would say, once you got the pixel installed, to really untap the pixel or to really tap into it, I would say, is you need to go once you're into your Facebook ads manager, there's a section that's called audiences. And that's where you want to go into, and you're going to spend a lot of time in here. And within audiences, you're going to have the choice of creating an audience of anybody that landed on this specific page. So if they landed on my homepage, I want to start tagging these or create an audience for anybody that's landed on my homepage. And from my perspective, being an e-com, then I have a tag that's on my product page. And then I'll set up another one, the audience that is anybody that's reached my cart page. And then I have another one that shows when I reach the purchase. So essentially what it does is it allows me to speak to my customer depending where they're at in their journey. And that's going to tailor my copy, my strategy. This opens up a whole new way to reach your customers and convert a lot higher because you're giving them the message that they want, not trying to shove it down their throat. You're giving them exactly what they want to hear at the right time.
And so that kind of explains what our friend Charlie was talking about with the Nordstrom's pair of high heels, where she went and looked at them one time, and then first they were just in her newsfeed, and then they were saying, hey, wouldn't we look good on you this Friday night, right? So you can kind of talk to people in the process, like, hey, did you go out last night? Would have been better if you had me on your feet. Like, you can get the ads really tailored. And I think that's what a lot of people are wanting to do with their Facebook advertising or with any advertising. We joke about it all the time, but literally our friend Russell Brunson follows us around. I went and downloaded fonts on a website, and there he was on the side of the page, like, is your website put together with glue and popsicle sticks? Kind of what we talked about last week, right? And so if you're new, if you're here starting out and you got a website and you haven't done anything, we want to recap these two things that most people are really overlooking, and you should put some more focus and attention into it in your business, because in our opinion, it's probably one of the things that you can do right now that's going to help you start to see some sort of return on your ads. It's going to help you start to get more leads into your business. It's going to help you close more sales the fastest, so that what you're already doing in your business, you can keep doing it, but start to see bigger results. And so why don't we recap this real quick? And the first reason being the landing page or the funnel. So if you have a website and it's not really working for you, we want to encourage you to start thinking about or reaching out to us with this concept of funnels, using a landing page. And the reason being that it's going to allow you to, it's going to really help you control what you're doing online. So all those activities, all that time and money that you're spending in your efforts on social media, in your efforts on media buying, whether it's Facebook or Google or YouTube or Twitter or Pinterest, LinkedIn, there's a million of them. You can bring people in and control what they're seeing and how they're seeing it. And you can really start to be able to cover the 5 core objections that we talked about: no need, no money, no desire, no hurry, and no trust. And start to build that process. Corey talked about the customer journey, and it starts with where you're sending people. And then ultimately, something that sounds very techy, this little 5-letter word called a pixel. There's so much power in this pixel and the ability to really be able to create long-term results for you. It's kind of like the stock market, right? People talk about day trading, and there's only a very few amount of people that make money day trading, but really it's a long-term game. And so what Corey talked about was this ability to be able to set yourself up now so that when you are ready to start running ads, or when you are ready, you've already matured your audience. You've taken the ability to be able to all the time and effort you put into it, create something substantial that you can now be able to make money off of for all the past efforts that you put out there. And so I know that we talked about a lot today. We always do. We tried to keep it so that it was something that would help you guys be able to start implementing now, as soon as the show is over. And outside of that, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank my partners, Corey and Dallin. I want to thank everybody that tuned in today. I appreciate you guys being here on the Lead Mode Show each and every week. Before we wrap this up, I just want to see if there's any closing remarks from either Dallin or Corey. Do you guys have anything else? Or did I steal your thunder?
I think a great way to kind of finish things up. We actually had Sabrina make a comment on here, and she said it really nicely. And shout out to Sabrina. She actually has an e-commerce store that she sells esthetician equipment. And what she said was basically funnels equal tunnel vision for your audience. And that's exactly what we want to do. And that, coupled with this pixel and how you can retarget people and keep them focused 100% on what it is that you want the task to be or the objective to be, I think that's a great way to wrap this up, essentially what this show's been about. And I wanted to touch actually on super quick one more thing, going back to the beginning of the show, what we talked about, how crucial, now that the audience, that whoever's been watching knows a little bit more about pixels, going back to what we talked about if you have a website that's owned or stored on a server from another company, or from the company you work for, or a landing page that was given to you, this is why it's so dang crucial, is because are you storing that data or is your company, right? And if I could go back 8 years back, I would be doing things a heck of a lot differently if I knew that I would be able to have put my pixel on these hundreds and hundreds of people that I had worked with and associated with, because that's a lot of retargeting and a lot of things that I could offer them and sell. So anyway, I appreciate everyone for watching. Again, I want to do another shout out to Enlightened Audio Video. They do such an awesome job.
Robert Hicks in the house.
Yeah, Robert Hicks and
Sam Gonzo, Jenny Quinn.
But yeah, I think we've had a lot of people ask how we do this. If you want to know more, reach out to them, reach out to us. We'll get you in contact right to the top. So you don't have to go through any sales reps or anything. You'll get the homie hookup from us.
No funnels.
Yeah,
Not
no
yet.
funnels. This is going straight to them. But they do such an awesome job. It's such a really cool, unique thing to do with this new feature of live video and things that we can do with this. So we really appreciate them. We appreciate everyone that jumps on and comments. It really means a lot to us. And we love doing it. We love teaching people. We love helping out. Any questions that you have, feel free. Just shoot us a message on Facebook. We all get it on our phones instantly. We try to respond as fast as possible. So, yeah,
you can't tell that Dallin loves teaching. He's like Goodwill Hunting. Give him a bone. He's like a dog with a bone. Teach him something, he'll go hack it. So, with that, guys, I appreciate both of you guys for joining me today. We have fun each and every week. Thank you, Rob, and the EAV team for putting this production on and making it what it is. And for everyone that tuned in and everyone watching the replay, thank you guys so much. Head over to theleadsolution.com. Click the little button in the top here so that you can get these notifications each and every week to subscribe to our channel. I'm your boy, Christian Cotta. Peace.